My name is Andy Dougill and I'm a Professor of Environmental Sustainability at the University of Leeds. My work in both the AFRICAP project and that which I will guide in the Food Systems Research Network for Africa focuses on looking at strategies and in particular land management practices that can build climate resilience into African agricultural systems. So this work focuses around climate smart agriculture as a route to build that climate resilience into the food system of the future. I'm particularly interested in looking at initiatives like conservation agriculture, where we've been working extensively in Malawi and Zambia for the last 10 to 15 years, but also increasingly looking at soil and water conservation, improved drought tolerant seed varieties, such as the work AFRICAP is doing in both Tanzania and Zambia. In terms of looking at an intervention focused around land management, like conservation agriculture, one thing we've done is to provide a meta-analysis of all the global studies, which does show that maize yields can be sustained through drought years through the uptake of this practice, which is focused on reducing the tillage of the soil and improving the use of crop residues so that there's surface cover at all time on the soil surface. It also involves intercropping of different varieties, cowpeas, groundnuts, crops such as that. If we look at the Malawi studies, we can see how soil structure in particular has been improved by this practice, and yet uptake rates among farming communities remains very low. The improvements in soil structure and also in soil carbon storage, which helps to mitigate future climate change, is particularly important when it comes to sustaining a crop through a drought year. So for example, we did a study in the 2015-16 droughts that affected Malawi due to the El Nino conditions that year, and showed that where farmers had followed this practice for over 5 years and where they had access to household labour at key points in the year, then it did improve yields. The link to the village health services in particular areas was an interesting finding, in that it shows that it isn't just an agricultural extension advice that's required, it's more holistic support across the community services that both government provide, but also then the support of farmers groups, church leaders, traditional leaders, to actually recognise what works best in a particular area, and that isn't always just more fertiliser or the latest seed varieties, that there are traditional land management practices such as reducing the tillage, such as improving crop residue management, which is able to enhance that resilience within the farming system. To initiate changes like this, we've really shown how it's paramount that we have and can build multi-stakeholder partnerships for change, that we're involving NGOs, consultancies in the sort of research side, in the project design side, but increasingly that both the private sector and those sort of community organisations are vital to actually sustain an intervention into the future, and to build that capacity within local farming communities to have the confidence in their local knowledge and how that interacts with the latest scientific knowledge to provide the most sustainable land management practice for that area. These interventions are showing many opportunities and good practices that we hope to investigate further. Empirical evidence is critical to be able to report the good news stories that shows the opportunities and the abilities of farmers across the continent to be able to withstand the pressures that climate change is placing upon them. These management practices focused on ways to improve the soil will be a critical element in terms of how Africa can deal with climate change into the future, and an area where I and others will help guide future research